Hello everyone, today is 18th of June, now it's 9:30 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is first part of today's update in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second part will be published on my Patreon page and page on Boosty. And well, this episode gonna be a little different because I have some announcements to make. And for example, when it comes to Boosty, as I promised during the previous live stream, Sunday live stream, I recorded and published first reaction videos, and these videos are already available on the Boosty platform. First video is reaction on a conversation between Judge Napolitano and Professor Jeffrey Sachs. A very interesting conversation. It was aired yesterday on Judge Napolitano's channel. On some points, I agree with the takes of the Professor Sachs. On certain topics, I have little different opinion, because some developments seems like look differently from outside of Russia and from its side. Hopefully our community will find overall this episode of reaction videos interesting. And second reaction video is on short episode from Breaking Points channel. And in this episode, talk is mainly about Red Sea crisis. Interesting information in this episode, and hopefully my reaction also will be interesting for the community. Now topic is how you can access this platform, these videos. Well, if you will become a supporter, it's a monthly payment of 200 rubles, which is little more than $2. Right now exchange rate is about 90 rubles for $1. So if you become supporter, you will have access to all the reaction videos that I will publish on regular basis on my Boosty page. But if you are Patreon, if you subscribe for 500 rubles or more, then you will have access to all the contents that I will publish on Boosty. That's been said. Right now it's only 5 of us here on Boosty. I have 24 subscribers, but only 5 subscribers are Patreons, paid subscribers. And well, same story is on Patreon. I have significantly more free subscribers than paid subscribers, Patreons. I don't know why these platforms are confusing people by creating this free subscription, because as I understand, these platforms were created originally to support creators, so that people who support work of creators will become Patreons, paid subscribers, and will help projects financially. But well, it is what it is. On Boosty, you can see here 24 subscribers, only 5 paid subscribers. Almost the similar story on Patreon, and free subscribers don't really help project in any ways. But I guess when members of our community are opening pages first time and they see levels of subscriptions on Boosty, it starts from 200 rubles, then 500 or 1500, 2500, 5000, 10,000. It all depends on capabilities of the individual, isn't it? How much person can support. On Boosty, it starts from $5, $10, $20, $50, $100 a month, monthly support. And it also shows free subscription, and people are getting confused, I guess, and subscribing clicking on that free subscription, and then probably asking themselves questions why they did not see nothing, why they have no access. But well, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Hopefully this additional content, reaction videos, will help me to boost interest among our bigger community towards my Boosty channel, and also, by the way, towards my Patreon page. I would not have reaction videos on Patreon because I want to stay on the safe side, and I don't want to risk it because well, some may don't like my reaction videos and then complain about it, and it may become a reason my channel to be taken down on other platforms. Boosty is more robust in this regards. I don't think they will pay too much attention to complaints as long as content is made in good faith and it's in framework of the legislation. As long as you are not calling for some crazy stuff, then are you okay? Boosty will not touch your page, so it's much more safer here. And well, also, by the way, on Patreon, of course, Patreon is the main platform right now that helps this project of mine financially. And yesterday I had another episode of Streets of Moscow on Patreon. I'll give you a little snippet. I'm now on Pakrovka Boulevard, and that street, Vorontsova Pole, is there. That's the beginning. Nice historical building, and yes, it is. It's a flag there. Oh, Tesla, by the way. This street, Sadovoye Koltso, that is a ring basically around central parts of Moscow. And we are here because this street, Vorontsova Pole, it has its own. So yes, I mean, few frames from that episode of Streets of Moscow. Hopefully our Patreon community will find video interesting, and today I will publish another extra content, non-political content, on Patreon and also on Boosty, by the way. And I have for this week I have enough extra content to publish every day, so hopefully, you know, community will be happy with that. What else I wanted to say, man? What else? I guess this is it. Tomorrow I will have a traditional Wednesday live stream on main YouTube channel, and if you want to, you know, send a question, if you want some topic to be discussed during the live stream, of course, you can send your question through PayPal, Boosty, or Patreon, by the way. And of course, I will try my best to give you an informative answer. And if you want to just comment on something, you can send your comment and I will read it during the live stream. All the links, by the way, to my Patreon, Boosty, PayPal, under this video in description box and the pinned comment. Well, that's been said. Let's talk about news now. Quite longer intro, but well, sometimes there is stuff to be announced, and it is what it is. Okay, now let's talk about news, and RIA Novosti's report, first of all, about visit of Russian President Vladimir Putin into North Korea, which will start today and will last until tomorrow. Two-day visit, important development, I will say, because lately we all notice significant activization of the diplomatic relationships between the two countries, and because Russia is now in sort of unique position when it's sanctioned so much so that Russian government, Russian businesses don't really care no more about possible additional sanctions for cooperating with North Korea. Therefore, I guess both sides have a great opportunity to further improve ties politically, economically, in military terms, every possible way. And if North Korea is ready to open its economy for Russia, then I guess Russian businesses will flood North Korea with investments, with new technologies, and of course it will be beneficial for both sides. And just in that case, give it 3 to 5 years, and the impact of Russian investments in North Korea will be really serious. Give it another 5 years, and North Korea will probably manage to deal with the majority of the economical or social issues that the country is experiencing due to sanctions. So let's see, huge opportunities for both countries, I believe, and the topics of negotiations will be, of course, bilateral relationships, political ties, economical, military, and also, by the way, when it comes to economical segment, I think it is possible that sides will reach agreement to allow citizens of North Korea to participate in Russian economical activity, to travel to Russia and work in Russia. They will make some good money, and they will help not just themselves, they will help Russian economy, because as we all know, Russian economy is overheating, and unemployment rate is on historical low, so more people definitely needed for economy, and North Korea can be helpful in this regard. So North Korean citizens may not just help Russian economy and themselves, but also to their own society by sending some amount of money to North Korea, back to North Korea, on initial stages of this reopening of the North Korean economy. Let's say that will be a good beginning, and some other steps also. So I expect this type of agreement to be reached, so that hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of North Koreans will came to Russia for work. And of course, because in Russian delegation, there will be defense minister of Russian Federation, new defense minister, Andrei Belousov. It is possible that some agreements will be reached between the militaries of the two sides about cooperation in military field. Let's see if any details will be available to public. Of course, I will share this additional information on my Telegram and the next updates. Also, RBK's report here that President of Russian Federation dismissed 4 deputies of the defense minister. Those deputies were working with the former defense minister Shoigu. Let me give you names, by the way. Of course, I posted about it on my Telegram channel. So, Russian President Vladimir Putin has relieved from their duties Nikolai Pankov, Ruslan Tsalikov, Tatiana Shevtsova, and Pavel Popov from their positions as deputy ministers of the defense and defense minister. And simultaneously, Russian president appointed new people on the position of deputies of the minister in defense ministry. And these people are, you can see photos of these people. So Russian President Vladimir Putin appointed Leonid Gornin as the first deputy minister of defense, and Anna Tsalikova and Pavel Fratkov as deputy ministers of defense. Leonid Gornin, appointed as the first deputy minister of defense, previously held the position of the first deputy minister of finance. Anna Tsalikova, Civileva, I guess, has recently been leading to the support fund for the participants of the special military operation, Defender of the Fatherland. motherland. This is translation, it is automatic translation from Google, and it's supposed to be motherland, of course. Anyways, Pavel Fratkov worked as the first deputy head of the presidential administration. So as we can see, by the way, these people have a trust of Russian president, and it is important that on the position of first deputy appointed a person, this Leonid Gornin, who was previously first deputy of the finance ministry, which clearly can be seen as an indicator that focus of the Kremlin and new defense minister, because this appointment of course was talked about with the new defense minister. So priority and focus of the Kremlin will be management, more effective management of the funds that defense ministry is operating with, which is of course immensely important always, and especially during the special military operations. So interesting changes in leadership of Russian defense ministry. Also, TASS news agencies report here that according to head of Russian administration of the liberated areas in the Kharkiv region, Vitaly Ganchev, fierce battles are taking place in Volchansk and Liptsy areas, and the Kiev regime is deploying more and more reserve forces in this direction. And of course, when it comes to Liptsy, Volchansk areas, this is it, by the way. This is the area where Russian side is creating a buffer zone. Russian offensive is divided on two parts right now. On the western flank, main direction of Russian offensives were Liptsy, although right now Liptsy is not necessarily challenged. Kiev regime deployed enough forces to basically stabilize line of contact, and Kiev regime forces are even conducting constant local scale counterattacks, mainly in Gluboke direction. According to reports that we see, all the counterattacks of Kiev regime forces have been repelled by Russian units. But still situation is tense, of course, and the Kiev regime will definitely try to regain control over at least several settlements that were liberated by Russian forces during these local scale counteroffensive operations to create a buffer zone. Especially before NATO summit will kick off in the US in a relatively short time. When it comes to eastern flank of Russian offensive, main hotspot here is of course Volchansk, and battles are still taking place in the northern part of Volchansk, where Kiev regime forces are losing immense number of military personnel. They are managing to maintain the presence in the northern part of Volchansk just because of the sacrifice of hundreds and possibly at this point thousands of most likely forcefully mobilized citizens of Ukraine. But according to latest reports, cracks are appearing in this foothold of the Kiev regime in the northern part of Volchansk, and if that's the case, probably next week, maybe even before end of this week, but most likely before end of next week, entire northern Volchansk probably will become under full Russian control, and then of course battle will begin for control over the southern Volchansk. Reports were coming in that Kiev regime forces, as a result of counteroffensive operations, managed to reclaim or establish control over the Tikhae settlement, this part here. Maybe this is correct information, maybe not. More timing is needed, and some factual evidences that Kiev regime forces managed to enter this area. But yet again, as head of Russian administration of the liberated areas in Kharkiv region said, the Kiev regime is deploying more and more reserves towards Volchansk and Liptsy, and the battles are fierce in this area. let's continue. Was this report that, well, according to Russian underground, pro-Russian underground in Odessa, or Russian partisans, about 60 French speakers militaries arrived in the city on several boats, and these French militaries, I'm not gonna say this is French official troops, let's call them French mercenaries. So these French mercenaries are basically trying their best to hide their point of concentrations, but if Russian underground knows about them, most likely Russian militaries know about them. And yesterday, and yesterday there was reports on Russian media about missile strikes in Odessa, and even though details are unknown yet what exactly was targeted, I would not be surprised at all if Russian armed forces conducted strikes on point of concentration of these French-speaking mercenaries in Odessa. During the day, maybe we will learn some more information, and of course I will share additional news on my Telegram and next updates. Also, by the way, Kommersant newspapers report here that according to Foreign Ministry of the Switzerland, second peace conference on Ukraine may take place in Saudi Arabia. A president of Switzerland a few days ago, day before yesterday, I believe, stated that Switzerland is ready to organize second peace talks, but probably they had they changed their minds because they had enough. They've been embarrassed enough by this first so-called peace conference. When it comes to Saudi Arabia, that's quite a different story. Let's see if information will be confirmed. Then let's see what stance will have Saudi Arabia. I believe Saudi Arabia only will host conference if Russia is part of the talks, if Russia is invited. Kiev regime already said that they want to see Russia in a second conference, but the big question is foundation on which this second conference will be hosted by Saudi Arabia, if they will be such a conference, because I don't think Riyadh is willing to use as a foundation so-called peace formula of the Zelensky, as Switzerland did. Saudi Arabia not gonna play these games with their Western ruling class and their puppets in Kiev. No way. Otherwise, of course, Russia will refuse to participate, because Moscow was very clear from the beginning that this so-called Zelensky's peace formula is a piece of garbage and cannot be taken seriously by serious people. That's it. No need to add anything to that statement. TASS news agencies report that some politicians in Ukraine are beginning to wake up, probably, at least partially, and one of the MPs in Ukraine stated that it was a big mistake on part of Kyiv that Russia was not invited in this so-called conference in Switzerland, because only winner, if we can talk about in this optics, only winner from this conference is Russia, because 90% of the delegations were talking about necessity of presence of Russia. Everybody was talking about that Russia's presence are needed to have any meaningful discussion, which is obvious. I mean, which is just too obvious, and that's why I cannot understand why Switzerland agreed to organize so-called peace conference without inviting one of the sides of the hostilities. But yet again, I don't know level of education of the Swiss leadership. Maybe they are just too stupid, really, and cannot, and have no ability of complex, relatively complex thinking, because this is not a nuclear science or quantum physics, for God's sake, isn't it? Anyways. Anyways, RIA Novosti's report here that Russian Foreign Minister, official representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, called this conference as a failure on part of organizers, Western ruling class and Kiev regime, which is absolutely correct. It is a failure, total failure, and waste of time. Serious people, one should, assume that those people were serious, isn't it? Who went there to talk about some very serious stuff, and what was the point? Because Russia was not invited, so what they were discussing there? Why the delegations even went to Swiss conference? What is this political tourism is all about, man? Maybe those delegations wanted to have some good time in Switzerland, in some Swiss resort. Maybe that's why these delegations went to Switzerland, to just have a walk around in Alps and see some nice views. Maybe that's what it is, because in practical terms, this conference never had any meaning. It was destined to become a useless event from very first day, and it was obvious for everybody with ability of critical thinking. Everybody in this world. Anyways, let's continue. RBK news agency is reporting that creditors of the Kiev regime refused to write off 20 billion of debt of the Kiev regime, as Zelensky and his criminal associates were demanding. What a surprise, what a surprise. Of course, these so-called investors in Kiev-controlled territory, they invested for a reason. And I don't think they're gonna write off tens of billions of dollars just because Kiev regime is in no position to pay back its debt. And by the way, when it comes to investors, I guess for this moment, majority of the investors, including BlackRock, by the way, realized that only areas that they can grab something is Western Ukraine, theoretically Kiev and surrounding areas, Kiev region, but most definitely Western Ukraine. Highly likely that Western Ukraine eventually will become under control of NATO or collective West. And I believe investors will demand compensations in terms of some assets in the Western Ukraine. And when this conflict will end and Ukraine will be divided between Russia and the collective West, these investors will have a claim. Even if Poland will reclaim, reestablish control over the parts of Western Ukraine that used to be part of Poland before Second World War, even if Hungary and Romania also reestablish control over the certain areas that used to be part of these countries before First World War in case of Hungary, and Second World War before Second World War in case of Romania. This because these countries are part of collective West, BlackRock and other corporations that are heavily invested into Kiev controlled territory, they will most likely demand some compensation with the land or some other assets in these parts of the Ukraine, in Western Ukraine, and then they will use the influence over their Hungary, Poland, and Romania to maintain their control over their assets, even if these countries will reestablish control over these areas and reintegrate in their countries eventually. So that's what is going on in terms of creditors of the Ukraine. TASS news agencies report here that according to Narishkin, head of Russia's foreign intelligence service, next steps from Russia if President's peace initiative, Russian President's peace initiative will be ignored by the Kiev regime or the collective West, will be much tougher, and conditions or demands from Russia will become also much stronger than it is now. Well, understandable statements, because we all understand, we all know that that's exactly what is going to happen. Russian peace proposal was already rejected by high-ranking officials in the West, and therefore I guess there will be no more talks. Only demands, only demand from Russia on unconditional surrender of the Kyiv regime, or capitulation. That's how it's gonna be. Also, by the way, TASS news agencies report that Jens Stoltenberg, Secretary General of the NATO, misspoke yesterday twice. Misspoke in a quote, because basically he said what we all knew anyways, and he knows also. How long is this update? It's already 30 minutes, so I give you this news, and I will end this part now. Rest of the news in a second part on my Patreon and Boosty. So Stoltenberg misspoke during his statements, his speech, and said that well, NATO will have F-16s in Ukraine. NATO will operate with F-16s in Ukraine, and NATO pilots will fly F-16s in Ukraine. He corrected himself, but still, by the way, this is Freudian misspoke, isn't it? Because of course, it will be NATO military personnel and engineers that will maintain F-16s and operate with F-16s if those planes will arrive in Ukrainian sky. So Stoltenberg said the truth. A rare occasion when Stoltenberg said the truth, but of course he was not allowed to say so, and he corrected himself straight away and said that, no, it's not NATO, it's Ukrainians. Oh, okay, Ukrainians, aliens, by the way, aliens will operate with those F-16s. Anyways, plenty of news, by the way, plenty of news, of course, left, but in order to have a short updates, well, I have to divide updates in two, and also to boost interest towards my Patreon and Boosty channels, because well, after I lost page on Buy Me Coffee, support with donations declined, I don't know, about 90%, I guess, and this project now 90% dependent on Patreon and a little bit on the Boosty, because as I highlighted earlier, right now only five paid subscribers there. And so, yes, if you want to support this project, then I mean, you know where links to my Patreon and Boosty pages are, and in the description box and in the pinned comment. So yes, this is it for now. If you find this episode interesting, please click that like button, leave some commentary just about anything, and it will definitely help if you will share information about my channel with your friends in real life or on the internet platform that you are actively using. This is it for now. I'm not even asked no more about donations, because it's, I mean, as I said, my donations decline so much so that I don't really have any incentives to do any videos on YouTube or Rumble no more. Maybe on YouTube, Rumble, at least my channel is monetized on Rumble. Okay, have a great day and take care.